Hey everyone, welcome to Post to Post. Thanks for joining me today. It's Jersey Concept Friday. It's my favorite day of the week, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join me. And if it's on a Saturday or Sunday, a couple days later, that's okay too. I appreciate the time out of your day. If you're new, my name is Neil, and every single Friday, I release a video on this channel talking about or reviewing, reacting, ranking Jersey concepts. This has been an ongoing tradition on the channel for probably the past year or more, and in general, we've looked at a lot of Jersey concepts in the last 2 years, or basically since COVID hit. We've been having a lot of fun here, and today's no exception. We're looking at reverse retro jerseys. I've got them, the names, okay? Haven't seen them yet. The file names off to my left here on the screen. We're going to go through 32 reverse retro themed jersey concepts. These are by Brendan from BW Hockey. If you follow him on YouTube, he's got his own YouTube channel. He talks about jerseys and hockey in general. But I got to mention one thing, okay? His Instagram, where he posts basically all or most of his actual jersey concepts, got hacked, and he's spent a lot of time building up that Instagram. So it got hacked. He lost it. He had to start a new one. So I believe the new one's called bw.hockey. I will adjust his graphic that he provided to have the proper name on there. So help him out. Make sure you go check out his new Instagram. Give him a follow, because I can't even imagine what that feeling of losing an entire platform. That would be very frustrating. So make sure you go show him some love over on Instagram. Let's get into this. Let's bring up the first one. These are by name. I did not rename these actually. These are just by actual team name, I believe. So the order might be just slightly off from what we're used to, but Anaheim is first. Let's bring it up. Oh, wrong screen, but good first impression. Okay. Orange, I like. Even the gray, or not a gray, like off black. That's not, I'm so used to saying off white. Off black is not a color. Like a charcoal or a really, really deep gray. I kind of like that, actually. It's not too bad. It contrasts just slightly awkwardly because we do get a jet black in the logo. So maybe there's some confliction there, but I actually don't mind it. I would maybe prefer if the logo got changed versus the jersey, and the logo shared that same kind of charcoal gray that the jersey has. So overall, we're used to the design pattern because of Anaheim's history. This is totally in line with a reverse retro style. The colors are in their history as well. So this is not only a good concept, very plausible as well. Let's move on to the next one. What do we got? Arizona. Okay, another familiar jersey in a way. This is essentially the Kachina jersey, which is their home jersey now, but it's just been recolorized. So while this isn't maybe my first choice at what they should do in Arizona, I appreciate it because I work in the world of marketing, okay, and graphic design, photography, and all that stuff. And I talk a lot about branding outside of this channel. Like, that's my life, is to kind of talking about marketing strategies and branding and stuff. And when I think about Arizona and how this would fit into their brand, into their lineup, perfect. I mean, really, when you think about it, they've got the home and the away Kachina, and having an alternate jersey, even though it's not technically an alternate, it's a reverse retro, it fits perfectly in there. The design is essentially the same or very similar. The colors are utilized perfectly from their history, from their current jerseys, and in the location. Arizona is a beautiful and very colorful state, actually. And yeah, the colors look great. This looks great. Good job. Moving on, we got Boston. Ooh. Okay, immediate impressions are I like the jersey design. Boston's an original 6 team, so striping like that, it does not feel out of place. It actually feels in place. I love the numbers on the shoulders. That is great. The logo itself, they've used that in the past, obviously, not only originally, or maybe not originally, but back in the early days, but also brought back to the, I don't know if it was the Winter Classic or the alternate in the Reebok years, but they have used this. Maybe it was might even predate Reebok, actually. It's hard for me to tell on my screen if that's brown, or if it's a brown, it's a really desaturated brown. So I think I'm okay with it, but I would definitely prefer no brown at all and black in the jersey. Don't mind so much in the logo, but in the jersey, all black, or not all black, but you know what I mean, no color. Next, Buffalo. Okay, goat head in updated colors. This is going to work pretty much every time. And I don't know about this section, though. Like, that looks to be like trying to replicate the horns of the buffalo, but I don't know if the execution, it might be hard to tell because of this template, or really any template. Maybe if it was an in-person physical jersey, it might look a little bit better. It might come across like just visually a little bit better. It's an interesting approach. It's an interesting idea. I would say that because of the different angle, if you look at the stripes along the middle angle, the angle is much more harsh, where it's a little less aggressive in the horns. So I think if you match the angle of the horns to the angle of the striping below in the middle, that would not only make it a little bit more visually balanced, I guess, but you could almost treat it as an additional stripe in that sense instead of the horns. And if it's not supposed to be the horns, then I apologize, but that's what I interpreted here. But either way, I mean, it's a really great concept. Next, we got Calgary. Okay, so the rumors are out there that it might be the pedestal jersey. It's looking pretty good, actually, for the pedestal jersey. That's essentially coming. But if they didn't do it, if they did do a true blasty and did kind of an inverse version and did the striping essentially properly, this would be perfect. I think this is executed flawlessly, really. Shoulders, beautiful. Middle, beautiful. Numbers, perfect. Bottom is great. Like, this is a very nice jersey. My favorite that I've seen so far. I mean, we're only, what, 3 or 4 teams in, but this is absolutely fantastic. This is a great concept and extremely plausible and accurate. So good job on this one. Moving on, we got Carolina. Okay, so Carolina does a black jersey, maybe top 3 in the league with their alternate jersey. I think San Jose is up there as well with their alternate, but I think there is a need, actually, for a jersey like this in their lineup. That's not the stealth jersey with the alternate logo. Let's actually have an alternate from Carolina that uses black as the primary color, keeping the warning pattern in there. This also pulls back into their history a little bit as well. So I can, even though it's not my first choice, it is the better choice than another Hartford Whaler reverse retro or just Hartford Whaler branded thing in general. I would like to see them pull from their history and do something a little bit different other than Hartford this time coming up next season, because reverse retros are coming back. So yeah, I would approve this. I would endorse this jersey if this was politics. Moving on, we got Chicago. Okay, so I will say definitely vibes from the previous generation of reverse retro. We got that logo back in there, which looks great and looks great on the stripe. I think he made a really good decision here with this one. I think this would not only complement their brand because of the colors, their current brand, but also complement the previous reverse retro jersey. If you are collecting jerseys, like I do and love to, but if you are specifically maybe a Chicago Blackhawks fan collecting all the Blackhawks jerseys, if you've got all the regular jerseys, if you've got the Winter Classic with the classic logo in there as well, if you've got the reverse retro and then you got this reverse retro, man, it would fit in so good with your lineup. So this is another good concept, Brendan. Colorado is next. Okay, so we're going back into not too distant history for Colorado. I mean, you can only go back so far to, what, 1995, 96 or whatever it was. This is almost certainly going to come back at some point. I don't know if it's going to be the burgundy purple, whatever version of it, or the blue version of it. Not necessarily my favorite concept that I've seen for reverse retros for Colorado, but definitely one that I would get behind. I have all the Colorado jerseys in my collection, and it doesn't even matter what they release. I'm going to buy it. So yeah, I would buy this one if it was real. Next is Columbus. A mix between the Canon retro jersey, not the reverse retro, but the actually alternate kind of retro jersey, and then their home jersey in a way. The arm design, the striping is very similar, and obviously the primary logo is very similar to their home jersey, but the way that it's colorized is in line with the alternate Canon jersey. And there's a new shoulder patch up there. He's put a hat instead of the Canon up there. I'm fully behind this, actually. There's a bit of like, oh, that kind of looks odd because it's a very modern logo and kind of a classic style jersey, but I think this could absolutely work. I'm always going to prefer the Canon. That's just how I roll. But yeah. Next, Dallas. Whoa. I mean, yes. I mean, obviously, yes, but like, woe to the neck. And woe in a good way. I think that neck is beautifully executed. That's a sentence I've never said before. The way that the collar is done is excellent, actually. The percentage of each color really balances well with the primary logo and as well as the alternate logo, or the shoulder patch, rather. With the numbers as well, this is fine. And by fine, I mean very good. This is an excellent concept. I don't think I like it more than the Calgary one so far. This is probably number 2. But the Star jersey has to come back. If they don't, people will riot, including me. Next is Detroit. I feel like we've just looked at this jersey because in the last week's video, or maybe the previous weeks, we've seen the same thing, essentially. I mean, this Detroit, you can only pull from so much. But this goes back into probably the mid-1920s when they were called the Cougars. Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about it, essentially. And this isn't a dig at Brendan. There's only so much you can pull. It's the logical choice here. So he made the right decision. And I think Detroit fans will be okay with this as well. Edmonton, the Cog jersey, which is coming back. Okay? And the McFarland jersey is coming back. But he's colorized it here in orange. And I don't think that's necessarily the wrong decision. But I don't think it's the decision that I would like to see. We've got the alternate, which is, I guess, primarily blue, but it's a two-tone jersey, so it has a lot of orange in it as well. But then you've got the home jersey, which is orange. What else is there? There's the other alternate, I guess, which is the retro version. That has a little bit of orange in it. Orange isn't totally overused by them right now, but I think if you did a white version of this jersey, it would be the better play. But I don't hate this by any means. It's a nice concept for sure. Florida. Okay, so we've got, 1 second. It was the rare time where I actually knew where one of my jerseys was. It was just off into the rack there. This is the alternate jersey from Florida in the Reebok years. So this is, if you look at this, it's essentially identical, and obviously not color, but design-wise for the most part, to his concept here. So that is pulled excellently from their history, recolorized, I think, great, and would totally work. I can see a lot of people buying this, including myself. So this is another win from Brendan here. Great concept so far. Next is the LA Kings, and we've got probably my least favorite LA Kings jersey, or a variation of it, I guess, that they've ever used. I would strongly be against this jersey, and this comes down to personal preference. I think a lot of people would embrace this, but I wouldn't. I hate that logo. I like the colors, but I hate the logo. This is the worst so far, but it's almost a biased opinion because it's a predetermined opinion going into this because of that jersey in the history, and because of that jersey in their history. So a miss for me. Minnesota. I mean, essentially perfect. A logo that they've used in the past, off-white, which they've used in the past, complemented well with the green. It's almost a two-tone jersey, and maybe it might be that. It looks like more white in the logo, but essentially this is a perfect jersey. Sorry, Minnesota Wild fans, better than their actual Winter Classic jersey that just came out. Montreal Canadiens. Okay, so if we go back to 2009, 2010 season, I think it was around there, Montreal had a jersey that was paying respect to previous design, which was going way back to, I don't know, 1909 or whenever it was. Or actually, I'm just going to look it up because it's bothering me. Yeah, 1909, 1910. There was the blue version of this jersey. Montreal brought it back in 2008, 2010 for the 100th anniversary kind of celebration thing. So they've brought it back. It was a beautiful jersey. I've got a scarf actually that kind of matches it. I didn't get the jersey, unfortunately. What Brendan's done here is done an inverse of that jersey, and it's odd. I know it's odd seeing just blue and no red on a Canadiens jersey. It's very Toronto Maple Leafs, but this is, goes right back in line with one of their original jerseys or their original jersey, and they have full rights to use this. So as a Canadiens fan, Canadiens are my favorite team. I would embrace this jersey because it is different. I can see a lot of people maybe not liking this though, but yeah, it works for me. Nashville is next, and immediate miss for me just because of the checkered pattern. I think it's a little bit too aggressive. It makes sense, like it totally makes sense, but it's a miss for me. I just don't like that pattern, and you could really put it on any jersey and I would probably dislike it. It's too race-like. Just feels, it's also very distracting. I would consider it to be the primary element on this jersey and not the logo. And again, it comes down to personal preference. There's no right or wrong. It's just a miss for me. I like the rest of the jersey, though. It's fantastic. Next up is New Jersey. Okay, so, obviously very close to a lot of other concepts that we've seen from other designers. Why? Because it's the most logical choice. It's a good choice. This is kind of what would complement them well, or their jersey lineup well. We got the black alternate. It wasn't great. This is kind of what we wanted. You don't have to change the design a bunch. You could keep the general design of the New Jersey Devils jersey, just flop the colors, make, instead of the shoulders being black, and the shoulders are different here, and a New Jersey Devils jersey, they're square, they're round here, it doesn't really matter. Flop them, make the shoulders red like he's done here, and make the primary color black. That's literally all you have to do, and people would love the jersey. So, great decision here by Brendan. Next is the Islanders, one of my least favorite jerseys from their history. this would be a pass for me. This would be a no-go. Although, if Adidas produced this, it might look a little bit better than what it originally did. And obviously, he's changed the colors here. But yeah, I'm just trying to envision an Adidas version of this. Can't quite get my grasp around this concept of this because of this template with the lighting and stuff. But I'm wondering in really good lighting if this would look a little bit better. But in general, I'd probably say pass on this. And next is the Rangers. I always find it odd seeing Rangers jerseys using red as the primary color. But what he's done here is actually quite good. This is probably the best concept that I've seen using red as the primary color. I love what he's done with the shoulders, having the blue come from the neck all the way down to the arm. And that's, I think the thickness of the white stripe is also perfect, although it doesn't match the thickness of the white stripe at the bottom of the jersey. So I'd probably make the white stripe in the middle bigger or thicker to match the one in the arm. But I mean, that being extremely critical here. But I actually quite like this jersey. This is really good. Next, Ottawa. Okay, so we're going back mid-2000s, maybe late 90s. I can't remember exactly when they used this jersey, but obviously it wasn't using black as a primary color. It was red, and then it was the inverse. I mean, it's called reverse retro for a reason. I don't need to explain it to you. The logo seems a little bit small here, or low, or I don't know, something's going on. But I think this is okay. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's a good average concept. Philadelphia. Okay, so we've got one of the most forgotten about logos in NHL history, regardless of Philadelphia. It's the logo that was used on a jersey between 2002 and 2007, I believe, in the Flyers' history. And it doesn't look that bad, actually, on the white jersey here. The arms are what's most interesting. I think having that kind of arced shape being pulled from their actual jerseys, changed a little bit, is an okay decision here. I'm wondering about the shoulders being kind of all white, though. It's not bad. I think it's more good than it is bad. I don't think it's bad at all, actually. But I'm curious to hear from Philadelphia Flyers fans on this one. What do you guys think? Okay, next is Pittsburgh. We've got the best logo in their history, in my opinion, inspired by one of the best jerseys in their history from the early 90s. And I'm on board. I am on board with this jersey. It's a little white. Like, it feels very, very white. And I guess Pittsburgh used white as their reverse retro in the last series. So would they use white as their primary again, or would they go with a dark version? But then if they went with a dark version, then it wouldn't be a reverse retro, would it? So either way, I do like this jersey. Next is, I went back. Next is San Jose. Hey, I can get on board with pretty much any San Jose jersey that uses the old version of the logo. I like that classic logo. The modern shoulder patch looks good up there as well, or a modernized version. The numbers look good. The striping looks good. I think this is better than their actual reverse retro, but not like leagues better. It's just maybe minorly better. Next is Seattle. Okay, I like the use of red in here. He plays off the current Seattle jersey, whether it's home or away. They've got so much beautiful color in the blues and the teals and stuff going on, but then they keep the pop of the red just in one singular spot in the jersey. That's in the eye. And he's kind of gone in line with that theme as well. He's used the shadow, or a variation, the bevel section of the letter here, of the S, to keep that red in there, just to keep some interest of the red. And I like that. Like, that's a really good decision. That logo's from the history, from the Metropolitans. The colors are interesting and in a good way. So yeah, I would be on board with this jersey. Next is St. Louis. I love it. Okay, it's what we don't have. It's what we want. Maybe not everyone. I know a lot of people actually hate this jersey design, but we've got the alternate, which is beautiful. Actually, is it? Yeah, I'm sorry. Behind me is the reverse retro. That's where I was going to next. So we've got the inverse version of that. We've got the reverse retro, which is just behind me, and we don't have a white version. So this is the most logical choice, in my opinion. I hope it's exactly what they do. Brendan, you've made a perfect decision here, and I would buy this instantly. If I'm gonna pick 15 reverse retros to try and get in this next series, if this was St. Louis's, this would be a day one purchase. It would be in my top 3 probably, just to complement the rest of the jerseys I have in my collection. Next is Tampa Bay. Yep, this is actually going to be very close to what the actual reverse retro jersey is going to look like. I don't know if it's going to be colorized like this, but it's going to be bold. Okay, we've already talked about the prediction, the leaks and stuff. I've discussed it, but it's going to look similar to this, I think. And while this is not the best jersey design, It doesn't have to be. It's a reverse retro. We're going back in their history. We're pulling it. We're changing it slightly, and we're selling it. And this would sell. Next up, Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, Toronto St. Pat's. We're used to seeing it in the green, I guess, but seeing it in the blue could absolutely work. And, you know, putting Toronto Maple Leafs font of any kind that's colorized, that's easy to see, is always going to be appreciated to me because of the jersey that was just released, where if they've got the T and then arenas you can barely see it. I think that was a bit of a miss. So I appreciate that it's easy to visually and optically see the text on the jersey. I like that. The best part about this jersey is nothing I've mentioned so far. It's the clean arms, clean shoulders, and more specifically, the neck. Done like that, white, blue, white, gives it the classic feel, gives it the Letterman style jersey or jacket rather style, and perfectly executed. I love this jersey. Coming up on Vancouver next, I believe, and yes, it is. And that is a beautiful jersey. I don't think it's better than the jersey that it's inspired from, which could be the Heritage Classic jersey from roughly 10 years ago or 8 years ago. Colorized like this is good. I do like it. I would buy it instantly. I love the numbers on the shoulders, but I'm always going to refer back to that burgundy, off-white, or white style jersey. That is an elite jersey to me. I would love to have that in my collection someday, but I would also collect this if it was real. Vegas is next. Okay, so I don't believe Vegas is going to go in this direction, but I like this direction. Like this is absolutely better, in my opinion, than the reverse retro that exists, which, I mean, it's essentially the same jersey. It's just inversed. But I'm not a big fan of that one. I own it. Actually, is that behind me too? No, I put that away. I own it, and it's important for me to collect all the Vegas jerseys. But even though this is very similar, this is just, it hits different. That's how, I don't know how else to explain it. This works for me. I like it. Okay, next is Washington. Now, Washington's jersey, which again, yeah, it's right there. Look, Washington's reverse retro jersey last time was one of the biggest success pieces of that entire series. I think it was sold out way quicker than a lot of people thought it was going to be. It was much more popular than even Adidas thought. And Washington was, I think, thrilled at the reaction from fans by it. So logically, it makes total sense for Brendan here to predict this. Maybe it's not a prediction, maybe it's just a design, it doesn't really matter. But to design a jersey that is essentially the same jersey, just a white version or an away version of the jersey, makes total sense. It would sell as quick or quicker than this one above my shoulder here. So yeah, another great decision by Brendan. Next is the Jets, which is, I think, is the last one. This is the last one. Listen, it's going to be pretty hard to screw up any kind of Atlanta Thrashers themed jersey like this. It doesn't even have to be the Jets. You could make this a Boston Bruins jersey, and I would still like it, just from a nostalgia perspective. I grew up in the 90s, and luckily, I mean, I was born in the 80s, but grew up in the 90s, and luckily, I saw a game between the Montreal Canadiens and the Atlanta Thrashers. Of the 4 NHL games I've seen from the time I was 1 till 25, I saw, I think, 4 Canadiens games. One was Montreal versus Hartford, a team that no longer exists. Another one was Montreal versus Carolina, which was an expansion team. Another one was Montreal versus Atlanta Thrashers, which was an expansion team. Now they don't exist anymore. So there's, so far of the 3 teams that I've seen as a kid, 2 of them don't exist anymore. And then the 4th one was against Philadelphia. So anything to do with Atlanta Thrashers, I've got a little bit of a soft spot for in my heart. And the colorization here is perfect. The classic logo is great on here. Maybe not a fan of the Jets and that striping along the bottom. Everything else is perfect. Would instantly buy this jersey. How am I going to go back and pick a favorite through these? Like, there are so many good ones. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm just going to go back through them quickly here. Because even though like there was, of the 32, 28 loved. Like, this is one of the best full sets I've seen of reverse retros or concepts in general. But one definitely stands out because I think it's the most logical decision. I think it was executed perfectly. It's Calgary. I think he executed this jersey pretty much perfectly. The stripe thickness is not identical from the bottom to the top of the shoulder here in the front, but it is so close it is acceptable. The shoulders are perfect. Blasty, you can't go wrong with Blasty. He's fixed the striping along the bottom. I didn't like the striping decision along the bottom of the Blasty that exists. It's one of the reverse retros I don't actually own, unfortunately. So he's fixed the bottom to mimic the original jersey, and yeah, I'm on board. I like this a lot, and I would instantly buy this. This will probably be a day one purchase as well. So Brendan, man, wonderful job on these concepts. I really appreciate you sending those in, and you've sent in, I think, maybe 3 other series after this one. So if you guys aren't familiar with the name Brendan or BW Hockey or BW Jerseys, you're about to be, because we're doing lots of his concepts coming up in the next 6 months, I guess. I believe there's 18 sets to go through. So we do one every Friday at least. That means there's 4 a month essentially. So if there's 17 or 18 to do, it's going to be more than a couple of months before we get through them all. But we're at a pretty good pace. And I may, if I have extra time coming up, I may try and introduce maybe like a bonus day once a month or something, so we get 5 instead of 4 a month. But yeah, these are fun videos for me to make. I appreciate all the designers in the community sending in their work. If that interests you, you can find details on how to do that down below in the description. Everything you need is down below in the description. Email, social media links, everything. So there's lots of info down there. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Obviously, let me know down below in the comment section which one was your favorite, and I'm sure Brendan wants to know as well. If you've made it this far in the video and you're not subscribed, you gotta hit the subscribe button, okay? To catch more videos like this in the future. Hit that notification bell as well. Hope you guys are having a great start to your weekend, and I'll talk to you in the future. Make sure you hit the like button as well. That helps. Adios.